I have been asked by quite a few of you, either getting into or coming out of a DS relationship, is it possible to not get emotionally attached to a dominant? So today I'm answering that very question as I discuss 5 methods for navigating the often intense and overwhelming emotions found on the bottom side of the BDSM switch. Submissives, my first emotional health strategy for you is to be confident, not codependent. Now, if you want me to do a video on the specific differences between a codependent submissive and an actually confident, healthy submissive, just comment on this video and let me know. But for today's purposes, I'm referring to 2 main attributes: confident in their value and autonomy, versus a codependent submissive who only thinks their value is in serving and being pleasing, and they see no need in having autonomy. The second attribute of a confident submissive is a willingness to state and uphold personal boundaries, versus a codependent submissive who wants to be pleasing all the time and keep the peace no matter what the cost. So submissives, if you are going into a DS dynamic, highly codependent, where you don't have any value on your own, you just want to be pleasing and you want to serve, and no matter what happens, you're going to take it because you just want to give, you just want to serve, and you see no value on your own. You don't think you can stand on your own 2 feet, etc. Well, if that's your attitude, if that's your perspective going into a DS relationship, you're setting yourself up to attract not an authentic, healthy dominant, but actually an abusive, toxic person. Oftentimes a sexual narcissist, as we discussed in 365 Days. Sexual narcissism is not uncommon, and it's actually far too often misconstrued as healthy love and passionate sexuality. So submissives, you are bait. You are a target if you are entering into looking for a dominant through highly codependent eyes or perspective. You have to understand that you are valuable and worthy on your own, even if you are not currently with a dominant, and you deserve autonomy. You deserve to have boundaries. You deserve to have limits. Okay, so you need to have that sense of personal value going into this. Submissives, you also need to define what you're looking for. Now, I get asked the question on almost a daily basis: where do I find a mistress? Where do I find a dominant? All these questions, okay? Here's the thing. A lot of you who are asking me that question are really undefined on what you're looking for. And that's a problem, because different dynamics will require a different level of emotional investment. So submissives, you have to define what you're looking for. Are you looking for a professional relationship with a hired dominant, with really what connects you is a monetary exchange? Are you looking for a casual play partner or partners with an open dynamic? Hey, we can hook up from time to time, no pressure, no strings attached, etc. But it is BDSM exclusive. Are you looking for that? Are you looking for a serious play partner with a closed dynamic? Okay, I am yours, you are mine, but it's still BDSM exclusive. We're just very serious as a dominant and submissive together. Are you looking for serious life partners with BDSM play in an open dynamic? So are you looking for a polyamorous situation or a long-term partnership that is an open relationship at the same time, where you build a life together but you also have BDSM elements? Is it open? Is it closed? What are you looking for? And finally, are you looking for a serious life partner with BDSM play and a closed dynamic? Okay, are you looking for a straight up long-term monogamous connection, dare I say marriage, with someone who's highly compatible with you, with your kinks, with the BDSM lifestyle, and you can play that way as well? What are you looking for? You as a submissive need to be very clear on what that is. Submissives, you also need to invest carefully. I say this because submission is a deep investment of intimacy. Submission is into me, you see, it's bearing your body, bearing your soul, bearing your mind, bearing your emotions to your trusted partner. And if you have a 24/7 dynamic, that depth of intimacy translates outside of the scene or playroom or dungeon as well. So regardless of your type of dynamic, your style of submission, whatever, submission requires investment. Submission requires giving up what I call mental and emotional real estate, all right? That mental and emotional real estate is yours before you give it over to a dominant, but you want to give it over. You want to have your dominant control your thoughts and manage your emotions and guide your energy and lead you through these exciting erotic acts. Well, in doing so, in receiving that training, in adhering to these protocols, in abiding by these honorifics, what are you doing? You are giving up that mental real estate and you're giving it over to your dominant. And gladly, happily, right? That's part of the joy of submission. But before you do that, before you just give it all, you need to invest carefully. The same way that you have to have a certain credit score to get a loan, all right? That bank wants to make sure before they invest in you that you are safe, that you can handle the investment that they are giving to you in monetary means, right? Same thing when it comes to a dominant. If you see immense value in your submission, why are you just handing it over to the first person just because you're horny and desperate, honey? Come on, vet them well. Take your time to invest carefully. Now, I already did a video on how to vet a potential dominant, and I put the link in this video's description if you want to check it out. But if you would like me to do an in-depth video on the really insidious techniques that pseudodoms use, that sexual narcissists use to manipulate you, to get into your mind, to mind fuck you, and not the good, positive, consensual way, then just comment below and let me know. But for today's purposes, I have 4 main questions I want you to ask when you are investing in a dominant, when you are evaluating whether or not to give your submission over to a potential dominant. Ask yourself these 4 questions. 1, do you know the dominant well enough to have confidence in their character? 2, have you spent enough time getting to know the dominant? Have they consistently earned your trust? 3, are you and the dominant both sharing information, or is it one-sided? And 4, are you and the dominant both pursuing relational intimacy, or is the dominant using their role to avoid intimacy? Now, essentially what you're doing when you're asking yourself those questions is you're evaluating the flow of intimacy, safety, trust, vulnerability, and intimacy. So those are really the foundations of those questions. Are they safe? Can we trust them? Are we both being vulnerable? And are we both pursuing intimacy? My next emotional health strategy for submissives is to go with the flow. In authentic submission, there is incredible release. Release of anxiety, release of fear, release of stress, all of those wonderful things. We just get to check out and release them all. But it comes at the cost of our ego and our will and our control. So you as a submissive have to know that and understand that if some intense emotions arise during play or after play or before play, if intense emotions arise at any time within your DS dynamic or BDSM play, it's okay. You don't have to sit there and analyze, why am I feeling this way? If you cry after a scene, fine. If you laughed after a scene, fine. If you laugh and cry, or you fall asleep, or all of the above, if you feel nervous or anxious in a positive way, that's okay. If you feel fearful, but in a positive way, that's okay. If you feel very, very overwhelmed and like you can't think straight, that's okay too. Some scenes are going to make you feel certain emotions, a little bit more confusion or a little bit more time distortions, things like that. So you know what? Go with the flow, submissives. Just go with the flow. Part of the release is a releasing on that tight control that we have to define emotions, to figure them out, versus just feeling them, just being present with them. So just go with the flow and be present with whatever you're feeling. Now, another question I unfortunately receive quite often is, how do I recover from a DS breakup? And if you have endured a DS breakup, then you know that these breakups are often quite a bit more intense than just a vanilla breakup because of what we've talked about today. Deep levels of intimacy. When you are revealing your whole body and your fantasies and your mind and your emotion and everything. The words that you use, you give over. The thoughts that you think, everything, you give it over to your dominant. That's deep, that's intense, and you're giving up a lot of emotional real estate. So what happens during a DS breakup is often the submissive gets suddenly stripped of all of that emotional real estate that the dominant was holding for them, and they feel incredibly empty. They feel incredibly without purpose. They feel incredibly without direction, very confused, very lost. They often spiral in anxiety, spiral in depression. So I don't want that to happen to you. And if you have gone through a DS breakup, or will go through a DS breakup, are currently going through a DS breakup, here are my tips for you. First of all, sweet babies, if you have been dumped by a dom, let me just say, you're okay, and you're going to be okay. It was not a reflection on you, your value, your worth. It could have been just very simply, hey, we're not compatible. We don't see our lives going in the same direction. And that's okay. I want you to find a partner that is compatible with you and the life that you want. Okay, so you're gonna be okay. And I'm here to love on you in the meantime, all right? But give yourself that time. Everyone that I've spoken with that has gone through a DS breakup has said the same thing. Time, so much time. Time. I needed time to heal. I need time to think. I needed time to process. I needed time to reestablish my own identity. So baby, it will take time. Know that the healing process does take time, especially when you are trying to take back that mental and emotional real estate. My first tip as you are taking the time to heal from a DS breakup is to fast from BDSM or dating or sex. In other words, do not avoid healing with mindless and emotionally heavy distractions. Yes, rebound sex might physically feel good, emotionally feel good, right? But what's going to happen when that person that you had rebound sex with isn't there because it was just rebound sex, right? That void that you were trying to just kind of cover up, doesn't exist, is just rip the band-aid off again, okay? So you're actually going to avoid the healing process and make it more painful on yourself. The submissives that I've spoken to who have gone through DS breakups, who have come out on the other side better, stronger, healthier, and actually now currently with an amazing dominant partner that's a great fit for them, they have said that they did not jump back into BDSM right away. They did not even really jump back into sex right away. They couldn't, most of them. They had to just be alone and kind of fast from those things for a while. So I'm going to pass on that same advice to you. Do a little bit of fasting, honey. If you are taking back some mental and emotional real estate after a DS breakup, fast from sex, fast from BDSM, fast from dating, fast from relationships for a while, and you get yourself regrounded and stable again. Next, surround yourself with loving connections. In other words, do not isolate, okay? I know that you may want to just be alone with Ben and Jerry and all of the chick flicks that you've ever wanted to watch and just cry and cry and cry. And you know what, honey? Do that. Take your time to binge eat and cry if you need to, baby girl, but don't stay there. Do not stay isolated, okay? Reach out, or at least make your friends aware that you are going through something very, very intense, very, very deep, okay? Hopefully your friends were aware of the relationship so you can say, hey, there was a breakup, and they can surround you with love and support and encouragement. But whatever you do, do not isolate. You need a tribe, you need a community, you need a family. And if you do not have one, I would love to invite you into my wonderful family, my wonderful community. My patrons are all over the world, but we are such a close-knit family. It is such a beautifully diverse community, but there is nothing but love and respect for one another, and we would love to have you. So if you do not have anyone supporting you, uplifting you, encouraging you in this difficult time, come join us. I put the link down below in this video's description. I would also advise you to take on a new hobby, activity, etc. In other words, do not wallow in boredom. Okay, I know that when you are depressed, you just want to lay down and sleep all the time. And I understand that. Again, if that needs to be your emotional process for a day or two, that's fine. But don't stay there, okay? Pick yourself up and find a new activity. Find something fun that you enjoy. This is another piece of advice that I've received from the submissives in my community. What they have said really helped them start moving on is to find a new group. Not just that, but new activities. This really helped them kind of take back some of that mental and emotional real estate, is to find a new hobby, find a new activity, re-explore yourself. What do you enjoy? Do you like dancing? Do you like painting? Do you like photography? Do you like writing? What is it? What creative endeavors can you reinvest in yourself as not only maybe a way to grieve, an outlet for your grief and for your anger and for your pain, but as a way to just start re-exploring yourself and your creativity and all of the wonderful aspects that make you you. And finally, prioritize a self-care routine. In other words, do not neglect yourself just because you have no external guidance. Now, this is a big one. I have heard this time and time again from submissives who are recently uncoupled is, I have no direction, I don't know what to do, I don't know how to take care of myself. I literally stand in front of my panty drawer paralyzed because my dominant would tell me what to pick out and wear every day. Okay, so it's intense. Depending on your dynamic and the types of protocols that you had, this can be very intense, and you can be left feeling like, I have no guidance and I don't know how to manage myself. I would say to you, that's a lie. You can manage yourself. You do have the ability to have self-control and discipline. Will it be trickier without a dominant? Yes, especially if you are just full-fledged submissive. Yes, it is going to be a little bit more challenging for you, but you can still do it. You can still prioritize self-care. You can still say, hey, I'm going to go color with my stuffies with a pacifier in my mouth because I need to check out of adulting right now. You can absolutely do that. You can absolutely put on some of your cute little space pajamas or whatever and put on your favorite Disney movie and watch a movie as self-care time. You can absolutely still do that. You can absolutely still make sure that you are eating. Set timers so that you eat, okay? You can still make sure that you take a shower every day. You take a bath every day, okay? You still have the capability of taking care of yourself. Just take it slow and in bite-sized little pieces, okay? Don't try to put on yourself the same level of planning that your dominant held you with, because you're not a dominant, baby. If you're a switch, this is going to be so much easier for you. But if you're a submissive, don't hold yourself to that standard. Just take it one activity at a time. Look at, what do I absolutely need to get done today? And start checking things off of your list one thing at a time. But you can do this. You can absolutely do this.